Hi everybody, it's Delusion Dispeller. This is the second part of part 11. So B, I guess, would be what it's called. So confess your inability to need. Sorry. Tell the truth to your safe relationships about how hard it is to rely on others, depend on others, and actually want others close. Let them know that needing them is not a skill, but a goal for you. This lets your friends know that you truly need. As they draw closer to you, instead of shrinking back, you slowly learn to trust again. What is occurring is that the internal need begins to respond to the warmth, constancy, and safety of your relationships. Don't fake it. You might be tempted to pretend you're closer and needier than you feel, hoping you can generate the feelings. This isn't helpful. It distracts your safe people from your real condition and discourages the lost part of you from being known. This will probably take some time, but safe people understand that and have time. Keep your boundaries. Pay attention to your need for separateness. You might be tempted to become a hugger when that activity makes your skin crawl. Or you might think you should spend extended time with people who leave you resentful and overwhelmed with doing people stuff. This also creates more distance inside. Let people know when you've had enough connecting time and don't push it too hard. This helps you feel much safer internally and more ready to take risks, knowing you won't be swallowed up in relationship. I have to say something here, okay? I had a friend, her name was Chrissy, back in the day, and she didn't like hugs, okay? I should have never expected that of her, for her to be all huggy and okay with me hugging her and comfortable with that. It's just, I grew up in a family, everybody hugged everybody. That was how I grew up. It was just expected. In fact, you didn't leave my grandmother's after dinner until you hugged and kissed every single relative. So I didn't learn boundaries in that sense. I thought that everybody just did that. I had never met anybody that really their skin crawled about hugging because of some things they had been through in the past. So when she said she didn't feel comfortable hugging me, I should not have kept hinting about it and asking about it and manipulating to try to get a hug. And that was an unhealthy part in me. I had a need for that. But she was not the one that had the ability to give it to me. Sadly, she was like my best friend. And I felt like if anybody I'd want to be hugged by is somebody that I felt I had such a rapport and a closeness with. But I should have respected her boundary back then and said, okay, well, if you're not comfortable with it, that's cool. Because now I have to be honest with you, God allowed me to learn a very important lesson about hugging. He had me take on a mentorship with a person who was just like I was. She wanted me to hold her and hug her and bring her close to me and be all cuddly with her, and it made my skin crawl. So now it was like the flip side happened, and I finally got it. Oh my gosh, this must be what I put poor Chrissy through. You know, it's amazing how God does that. He lets us live through the very thing that we have no clue about so that we get compassion for the person that we did it to. I only wish it could happen like when it's happening, you know, during the situation instead of after the fact. But that's not how life works sometimes. Pardon me. So I just wanted to share that. Respect people's boundaries. If they're not comfortable with hugging, if they're not comfortable being open about their problems or whatever, don't try to force it. Just let them be. Just like me. If I want to do something, I do it. If somebody's trying to pressure me, or my husband too, we don't like being forced into things. We don't like feeling like we must do this or have to do that. Nobody does, I don't think. Unless they're really into being controlled and into weird stuff. But we're not, so respect that. Respect the boundaries. Confess the need that you can't experience. Let people know what you're asking for, even though they know you can't feel it yet. This lets them know you and respond to your real state. Here are some examples. I'm so sorry I got coughs today. I need my relationship with you. I need to know I matter to you. I need to know my imperfections don't push you away from me. I need to know that within your own resources you aren't going to leave me. I need to know you understand. I need to know you love me. Bear in mind you may not be able to feel these truths. That doesn't mean they're less true. And you're integrating as much of yourself as you can into the relationships. This paves the way for the rest of yourself. I have to say, honestly, this book is so outdated. Like I said earlier, if you walk up to somebody, I don't care how close you are, what kind of friend they are, and you sit there and you tell them, I need to know that within your own resources you aren't going to leave me. If somebody said that to me, that would creep me out. I'd be like, yeah, okay. Hmm. That's why I don't have friends like that are insecure like that. I can't deal with that. That's just too much for me. If you're not secure and have your goals in mind and you're pretty independent, I'm probably not going to be close with you because that's not me. I'm not a mentory type person that wants to take a little one under my wing and help them along. Not anymore. I tried that back when, and well, it resulted in a website against me, people being hurt by me, and it just was not a good thing. So I like to keep my distance, keep my walls up a little bit, keep my boundaries. I'm just being for real with you. So if you're hoping for that kind of close relationship with me, you're not going to find it here. Alright, just so we know that up front. Okay. Pay attention to what evokes your hunger. That doesn't mean other people won't be like that, because there are people like that want to take you under their wing. I have a mentor from the past that would take you under her wing in a heartbeat. Not me though. Okay. Generally, after a certain amount of working on this with safe people, some event will allow the need to emerge a bit. It may be an especially empathic statement from someone, or they may identify your pain with theirs. Or it could be that they didn't come down critically on you when you brought up a problem, and something new happens inside. You may find yourself feeling loved a little. Your eyes may mist up. You may feel warm inside. You might find yourself feeling closer to your friend and looking forward to being with him again. The need is awakening. Whenever you sense that you've responded internally to a person, trace down what it is about, what they said or did, and how that relates to their character. Tell them what it is about them that you're drawn to and how it helps you. Tell them you want more of that. Like a child who finds a favorite stuffed animal, the need within will begin responding more and more to your safe person. I was just thinking of something based on what I just said. Say you meet a narcissistic person, okay? And you become friends with them. Maybe you're like business partners or something. And you have a need to be that special person to them, and you want them to constantly praise you or tell you you're wonderful, or say, oh, I'm sorry you went through that. But a narcissist cannot do that. So as much as we might hate narcissists or not like narcissists, it's also not fair on our end to expect them to give us what they can give us. So I know that sounds kind of like I'm validating a narcissist, and maybe I kind of am. And a lot of people have called me a narcissist because I don't like people super close to me. Like gushy, mushy, huggy, lovey stuff. Not unless I feel that kind of rapport with that person already. And if that's what you think of me and you think I'm a narcissist, okay, then respect my boundaries and don't try to get close, huggy with me. I'm just not comfortable with it. I used to be, but I've been hurt a lot by people that did that. And I also was one of those needy, clingy people. And I think there's a balance in life. And I think when you become an adult and mature, you don't need all that huggy, lovey stuff from anybody other than maybe your spouse, maybe your children, or somebody you're really close to that you really know and trust. You just don't go around trying to get that from everybody. It's uncomfortable. It's leechy and it's clingy and it's smothering is what it is. So, yeah. So if you consider me a narcissist, or anybody you consider a narcissist, or somebody that's aloof or very standoffish or doesn't want to get close, then respect that and don't try to get close with them. That's all I can tell you. Then you won't get hurt and you won't put something on them they can't give you. Okay, work through resistances. Tom, a Christian businessman who's a good friend of mine, looked around at the faces in his living room. Sorry, not fences. Faces in his living room. Why would he have fences in his living room? Most were people he'd known for several years at various levels. Tom and his wife, Arlene, had invited them all to their home to discuss a different kind of home Bible study group, which they wanted to form. He began talking. For a while now, Tom said, I felt a need for a group which would add another goal to understanding the Bible. In addition to learning content, doctrine, and application, I want to learn about bonding. I've realized I avoid connection. I've done it well for many years. He looked over at Arlene, who smiled knowingly. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to disagree with this part of the chapter, so I'll let you know in a minute. He continued, I've asked you people over to be part of a group in which we learn to be vulnerable, open, and honest, and in which we learn how to depend on and trust each other. The group seemed to lean forward in positive anticipation. This has promise, their postures seemed to say. There's a glitch in this idea, though, and I want to warn you about it, Tom went on. I don't want to do this. I don't want to open up to you. I don't want to bring you my inner feelings. I have no emotional interest in telling you my hurts, and I really don't want you to open up to me. This will be really, really difficult for me. I'd much rather do an information-based study and hide behind that. It's much more my style, but I've realized that emotional connections are very important for my growth. More than important. I won't survive if I don't learn how to make attachments. I'm going to come to this group kicking and screaming. I'll fight it and resent it. But I promise that I'll attend every meeting and I'll try my best. So what do you think? You could have heard a pin drop in the living room. The others didn't quite know what to think. And guess what happened? They decided not to form a group. Tom's honest appraisal of what he needed and his resistance to that weren't what they were looking for. In fact, it took a few months and an invitation to a different bunch of people before Tom got the group that he wanted or didn't want. And guess what? This is my addition here. It was his right to do what he wanted to do. It was his right to say how he felt and get a different group of people. So let people get the people they want and bring them into even the online groups. It's really none of anybody's business how somebody runs their room or who they want in it. So Tom was cool. He did what he wanted to do. It's all our free right to choose who we want to associate with and not associate with, period. In his unusual invitation, Tom was doing something very, very helpful. He was normalizing something for himself and his friends that very much needs normalizing. Tom was normalizing resistance. What is resistance? Resistance is our tendency to avoid growth. It's our drive to keep the spiritual and emotional status quo. It's our inclination to move away from God's provisions for our growth. For what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. Romans 7:15. And we all have it. Resistance is actually the thread which ties together chapters 6, 7, and 8. Many of the dynamics which drive us to choose unsafe people and no people are resistances. From needs to rescue to repetition, we're loaded with ways to keep our hearts from encountering loving, supportive people. As crazy as it sounds, we often build entire lifestyles around avoiding those who would help fill us up. We hope you're more aware of your own opposition to attachment after having exposed yourself to the principles in this book. You may become more informed about your bias toward critical folks, your passivity, or your detachment. This isn't bad news, it's good news. Now there's something to fix. Beware of the attitude that you have no impediments to intimacy. That's the unsafest position of all. Let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. 1 Corinthians 10:12. Don't fall into the trap experienced by the over-eager son in Jesus' story of two brothers and their father-employer. Matthew 21:28-32. When Dad asked the son to go to work, he answered, I will, sir, but he did not go. Verse 30. The son didn't own his resentment of working for Dad. He lost out, and you will too. Accept the reality of your resistances. How do I deal with them? We've listed how-tos for several of the important resistances in chapters 6, 7, and 8, but here's a bird's-eye view of how to approach resistances. Number 1, identify your resistances. Forewarned is forearmed. The more aware you are of your specific resistances to love, the more power you have over them. Denial is your worst enemy here. With the feedback of friends, make a list of the ways you shrink from safe people and become a student of these dynamics. They are a roadmap to understanding yourself and your real needs. Hold on a second. This might have to be a part 3. This is long. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut this off here. I'll do a part 3 next, and I'll see you there. Thanks a lot for watching. God bless. See you on part 3.